Solutions, and only 8% of them
Oh
actually achieved what they were working toward.
Oh my goodness.
Do you have any tips for us on how to make sure we carry through?
Wow, only 8%.
Only 8%.
Oh my gosh, stick to it, folks. I would just say, think of your resolution like a goal, you know, that you're setting, and treat it like that. So really plan for it. You know, what do I want to accomplish? Why do I want to accomplish it? What's my time frame around accomplishing it? And
in other words, set a time limit.
Exactly. And then set it up like that. Maybe somebody's going to need to break their resolution down into some smaller steps. You know, I'm going to do A, and then I'm going to do B, and then I'm going to do C.
Right.
Whatever it is. I think it's important to review it regularly to understand.
Right. No, don't just forget about it. Put it in a drawer.
Exactly. Write it down. Stick it on the fridge. You know, I always say to clients, really be able to review it. Understand, you know, where am I? Am I making progress? Am I working toward it? Did something happen where it threw me off a little bit? So now I need to go back and maybe adjust. Whatever you do, I would say just don't give up. Stick to your guns, and you can do it. You can do it.
That's inspiring advice. You always give the best advice.
Oh my goodness, you're so sweet.
When we talk about the new year, we often think of it as a time when it's a chance to make a fresh start. And for people who've really gone through a lot of economic setbacks in the past few years, I think that's an important point.
Sure.
RealtyTrack did a survey, and they found that about 7 million people in the last 7 years have gone through foreclosure or short sale. And a lot of those people were paying their mortgages on time every month up until they lost their job. And what that really has meant to them over the long haul, once they were gone through the foreclosure or short sale, it was very, very difficult to become a homeowner again.
Right.
But I understand, thanks to changes in the HUD guidelines this last year, that there's maybe some good news on that front.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Folks did have a harder time, or they were going to have a harder time. Typically, if a homeowner had been through a foreclosure or a short sale, they were going to have to wait a long period of time, usually somewhere between 2 and 7 years before they could become a homeowner again. And that waiting period was required even if their setback was due to something, you know,
that was beyond their
control. Exactly. So even if, you know, there was something that they couldn't control, it wasn't due to poor financial planning.
Their fault.
Right. They still had to wait that time period before they could be eligible to qualify to get a mortgage again. But today, with these new HUD guidelines, borrowers are going to be able to, under these new rules, borrowers are going to be able to qualify for a mortgage much more quickly than they would have been able to. Right.
Oh, that's excellent. Well, tell me a little bit about the HUD guidelines. How have they changed?
Yeah, they're called the Back to Work Extenuating Circumstances Guidelines. And if homeowners are able to meet the criteria that HUD has set for these guidelines, they may be able to qualify for an FHA-backed mortgage in as little as 12 months.
Oh, that's amazing.
After a short sale or foreclosure. So they're excellent. They're excellent changes.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what are the criteria people have to meet in order to be able to fit into that box.
Sure. For the Back to Work Extenuating Circumstances Guidelines, potential homeowners or potential new homeowners have to be able to document 3 things. They have to be able to show that their setback was due to a job loss or some sort of crisis, you know, that reduced their household
beyond their control.
Exactly. That reduced their household income by 20% or more. The second thing they have to be able to document is that they have fully recovered from that event.
They're financially recovered.
Yes, so that's really key. That's really big. And then the third thing that they have to be able to document is that they have received housing counseling from a HUD-approved nonprofit counseling agency like Consumer Credit Counseling Service of Maryland and Delaware, and that they're financially prepared.
Oh, so those criteria will help them as far as getting an earlier chance to get a home again.
Exactly.
That's
exactly
wonderful.
Right. Like I said, it may be, if they qualify, 12 months after. So the time frame is much, much shorter.
I'm going to bet, from a financial preparation point of view, credit plays a role.
Oh, sure.
Like their credit standing.
Oh, sure.
How can potential home buyers, how can they go in and actually see where they stand from a credit point of view?
Yeah, they definitely want to do that. The very first thing is to go in and request and review a copy of your credit reports and credit scores too. Consumers can go, we're all entitled to a free copy every 12 months of our credit reports from each of the 3 major credit reporting companies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. So consumers can go to www.annualcreditreport.com, and that really is the only place online to get a free copy of your credit report.
Where there's
with
no strings
attached. Exactly. So you want to go there, you want to get those reports, you want to review them. If there's information in the credit reports that is inaccurate, things that are there that shouldn't be there, you want to go through the process of disputing that information. The FTC's website has a lot of great information about how you actually go to that process. So visit them at www.ftc.gov. But get those reports, review them, take care of anything that needs to be taken care of. As far as the credit score, because that's important. The report, is a piece of paper that's going to contain all the information, and then there's the score, that number. You want to get the score and find out what that is. FICO is probably
the primary one.
Yeah, they're probably the most common. And you can go to myfico.com and get the score, or you can go to any of the 3 credit reporting companies to their sites and buy the score. And I did say buy on purpose because there is going to be a fee. You can expect to pay around $12 or so for the credit score, but you want to get that. You want to know what that number is, and again, it's just going to make you more informed when it comes to the home buying process.
It's also important to know, I think, that a credit score isn't like you're stamped with that on your forehead and that's not going to change for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
A credit score changes from day to day.
It absolutely does. And also, if it needs to be improved, maybe if it's not as high, if it's not as high as we want it to be, I want people to understand that you can improve it. If you work on it and you put the effort in and you make the changes that you need to make and get budgeting and all of that, you can raise that score. It's not impossible to do.
How can you go about improving your credit score?
Sure, and you make a great point. Viewers really do need to know that credit score isn't permanent. If you work at it, if you put the effort in, you can improve it. If it's not as high as you were hoping it was going to be, you can do the work to make it better. You really, really can. And the best thing to know, or the biggest thing to know about improving your credit score, is that payment history, bill payment history, is the largest contributor to what your score is going to be. It accounts for more than 35% of what your credit score is. So paying your bills on time is huge.
That's a really important part of it.
It really is. Even if you're not able to pay balances in full, again, you want to make sure that you're paying more than the minimums and that you are absolutely paying on time. Though that's the thing that really, really makes a difference. The other thing, another big part of how your credit score is determined, is the amount of debt that you have out there. So you want to keep the amount of debt.
You don't want so much.
Exactly. You want to keep it low. You want to keep it low. So if you're trying to improve your credit score and all of a sudden your car breaks down, you don't want to run out and buy the most expensive luxury sedan that you can buy.
No luxury rides.
Right. You want to get a cheaper used something that's going to be reliable, but the point is really to keep your debt load low. That's going to have a big impact on your score too. So that's one of the ways that you can work on improving it.
That makes full sense. And I'm going to bet many of the same pieces of advice that go for other home buyers go for these home buyers. Like, for instance, that they need to have proper amount of savings. You should always have as much savings as possible.
Absolutely.
And when it comes time to look for a mortgage, you're going to shop around.
Oh,
it
sure.
isn't like just go to the first person.
All of those things still apply. Absolutely. Yeah. They still apply.
Well, with that said, going back to this, in order to qualify for this program, you have to have had HUD-approved housing counseling.
That's right.
Why is that so important for people that have been through foreclosure and short sale? They've already been homeowners.
Right, and they have. They've already been homeowners and they know what it's like, but this is still buying this second home now, or this other home. This is still one of the biggest transactions, financial transactions, that they're ever going to make, in their lives. And so it pays to have all the information, and it pays to be as educated as possible around the process. It really does. And also, I think going through counseling and getting this knowledge and getting this information is going to help these folks in particular avoid
going through the same situation
facing
again,
a foreclosure or a short sale again, down the road. So it really does give them a bit of a leg up, like I think it does for anybody. But in this situation, it really reinforces. That's the word I was looking for. It really reinforces, what the process is about and how important it is to get educated around it.
Well, when we talk about housing counseling, I know we often talk about the fact that there have been studies that have been done with those people that have received counseling from NeighborWorks-oriented agencies like CCCS is, and it often shows there's a correlation that they don't end up in foreclosure or in housing problems down the road as often.
That's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up. There was a study just done, and I believe there were 75,000 mortgages, reviewed for this study, and it found that folks who had that counseling, just like you mentioned, from NeighborWorks affiliated organizations who went through that process were a third. So not just a little bit, a third less likely to find themselves in that situation again. So that housing counseling really does have an impact. It works. It really does.
That's amazing. Well, with that said, how can home buyers who have this situation, folks that have been through foreclosure or short sale and they want to become owners again, how can they reach you guys to get housing counseling?
Absolutely. They can call our housing counseling line. The number is 1-866-731-8486. And they can dial that number anytime and request an appointment. When they call, though, I just want to stress that they want to specifically ask for that kind of counseling.
Explain
exactly
right
that's exactly what they want. And they can have that session where a counselor is really going to go through, with them and give them all sorts of information around their budgets, around the mortgage process, around the settlement process. They're going to get all kinds of information that they need to really be able to get through this successfully.
Oh, that's excellent. What other kinds of resources does CCCS have for folks that are looking into buying a home?
Sure. We offer a group pre-purchase workshop, a certificate workshop, or I should say a group pre-purchase certificate workshop.
Oh, that's a mouthful.
And we also have an online course that folks can take, and no matter which one of those avenues folks participate in, they're going to get in-depth counseling, in-depth education, and personalized counseling, again, around the process and around everything they need to know. There's all sorts of e-learning modules on our website that have all kinds of great information about this topic. So the website, again, it's www.cccs-inc.org. It's excellent. It's full of great information.
Oh, that's wonderful, Dee. On that note, I can't believe it, but I think we have come to the end of our program.
Oh my goodness, already.
It went so fast, just like the year does.
Right.
Do you have any final advice for everyone?
Like I always say, it pays to be prepared. So I think, when it comes down to setting up a household budget, being able to stick to it, as you go through this process, the home buying process, it's a big deal. And so as much as you can learn about the process and as informed as you can get, that's going to help you. It's going to propel you forward as you go through. And hopefully you're going to make the best kinds of decisions and set yourself up to be in a much better position this time around when it comes to home buying. So I would just say, stick to it.
And knowledge is power.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Well, Dee, thank you so much for being with us again. You always have such good information.
Oh my, thank you for having me.
I
It's
always
my
learn
pleasure.
something new.
Oh, thank you.
And I want to thank PAC-14 for their
Yes,
ongoing
thank you,
support.
PAC-14.
We love working with them, and they are a wonderful, wonderful partner with us.
Absolutely.
And for all of those of you who are viewers, we love you too. And we hope you will join us again when we get into February with Money Talks.
Would you like to see your community organization or nonprofit group featured on PAC-14? To get started, contact us at 410-677-5014 or visit our website at www.pac14.org. PAC-14 is a great way to connect with your community.